Des Moines, and all of Central Iowa, welcome to Mac's World Live. Mac's World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Mac's World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Mac's World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
Good afternoon. It is 3:07 on a Friday afternoon. I'm Chris Roloff, filling in for J. Michael McCoy. Once again, he is continuing to struggle through his congestion, as it were. We talked about last broadcast yesterday, what that's called. I got picked on for using the gross language of calling it what he calls it all the time, which is lung butter.
Good. Must we revisit that today?
Yeah, we do. We have.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of material to talk about, so we're going to talk about his sickness. We're going to talk about Mac's sickness. No, of course, we're excited to have you with us on 99.3 FM. The last hour on the radio, a good friend of Alex McFarland was on. Good guy. You know, and I will give a secret away. See, radio is theater of the mind, right, Rebecca?
Yes.
By the way, Rebecca Maxwell is with us today.
Hello.
Frank Mozzarella. How about that, Frank?
That was a combo.
Frank the Verse is here. Bob Mozzarella, the Cat in the Hat's watching the chat, and Ryan's producing. Regular cast of characters. Pretty much everyone minus Mac is here. But again, as we often say, you're the most important person that's with us. It's your voice we always want to hear at 515-230-4481 on any subject. But Frank, would I do it again? I did it wrong again. Look, leave the number on the screen all the time so I can remember it. 515-244-0077. 515-244-0077.
On the monitor.
On the monitor?
So
it's up here at 515. Yeah, so that's the number. Anyway, you know the number. I don't know the number.
Is it actually true that video killed the radio star?
Discuss.
Discuss.
Yeah.
The answer is no, because you know what? Radio's still going, and MTV stopped playing music videos a long time ago.
They gave up for Real World about 10 years ago.
That's right, they did. Once Real World happened, they became just like any other television
They lost
station.
their first love.
They did.
Tragic.
They did.
And yet radio still lives.
That's
so
right.
There you
Booyah! So take that, video thing.
Yes, MTV has met their appropriate match
That's
today,
right.
here and now.
We crushed MTV. You heard it first. Radio has killed music television forever.
Oh, goodness.
Especially talk radio for some reason. I mean, not that we did that.
It's because of the listeners. It's because they're here and they're
Yes.
listening to us talk right now.
That's right.
What are they listening to us talk about?
Absolutely nothing of substance. No. We're gonna talk about a lot of stuff. Now, yesterday we promoted, Rebecca, that you were gonna answer 12 questions that the great theological minds of BuzzFeed had for you, and
so we did.
We will get to those, but we will not get to those right away. But I wanted to say, yesterday our broadcast ended, so we were done at 5, and our last segment, Frank, you know this. So David Bush and Joe Tewell were in here. They're the authors of Fit for the King.
Right.
They were in here. They were talking to us about health and fitness and good stewardship. And I look over at my phone and I get this text from Kerry Peterson. Now, if anybody knows who Kerry Peterson is, he is the owner of Northern Lights Pizza. And he says, "Oh, well, it's a good thing I'm bringing you pizza then." And so as soon as the show's over, and we're all feeling like, hey, we're going to get on the right track of health and fitness, here comes in Kerry Peterson with this wonderful pizza. It was fantastic. I don't remember what was on the actual pizza because he brought one of his slamwiches. Have you ever had? Do you know what these are? So I didn't know what this is. It's like a huge, and Carrie can call and explain it to me. But it's like this huge flatbread sandwich. This thing. It's like half a pizza folded in half. But this one, it was like a grinder. It had sausage and banana peppers in it and all this kind of stuff. And Rebecca and I had some. Bob had some. Yep. Frank, you weren't here, so you didn't get it.
That's right.
But we got some great Northern Lights pizza food because they do more than just pizza. But the funny bit was, I thought, okay, I'll just sneak some of this because I got to go home and have dinner because my beautiful wife is cooking for us. Mm-hmm. And I grab a piece of this sandwich, and because I tore it open, some of the grease from the sausage was coming out, and it just hit all on the front of my shirt.
Oh, yeah.
I had the grease stains.
It was kind of
there.
a disaster.
It was kind of a disaster.
Called physical evidence.
Physical evidence. I couldn't hide. I had to,
Undeniable.
Now,
I had to confess.
How was your appetite when you got home, though?
Dude, I eat. Let me just say, it doesn't. I mean, it didn't ruin me. It didn't ruin me one bit. Didn't ruin me one bit. And my wife had made one of my favorite things. She got really into making good baked sort of homemade nachos.
Right.
Ooh.
So you get the chips, you lay them out, you bake them, you put meat and cheese and beans and all that sort of stuff, and you just bake them. Oh, they're so wonderful. So that's what I had anyway.
New rule: you're not allowed to talk about your wife's delicious recipes without samples.
Without
Come
samples.
on.
Next time we will have samples.
There you go.
Speaking of food, which I do like to speak about, have you heard the news? Bob, have you heard? Frank, Rebecca, the McRib is back.
Yes, I heard that. Now, didn't that originate here in Iowa?
I did not know that. Is that true?
That's what I heard. Frank, you know everything.
We are the first in the nation.
I think it did.
Did we? Did it really?
I think I've heard that.
You know what? Now that you say that, I think I have. Can anybody corroborate this? Do you know 515-244-0077, was the McRib first discovered, invented, or unleashed?
Yeah, one of
It was
those.
maybe unleashed here in Iowa.
Trial
true?
trial tested.
Trial tested here in maybe Des Moines, Central Iowa.
Well, we do have strong constitutions.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! I posted on Facebook this great video, the Simpsons episode where at Krusty Burger. Okay, Homer.
Yes.
They introduced
Thinly veiled parodies.
the Rib Witch at Krusty Burger, and Homer goes in and orders one, and he just goes into like this hallucinogenic fit and has to eat more. It's a hilarious bit. A friend of ours at church, that's how I discovered it. He announced on Facebook that it's back. So Merry Christmas to him. He will now be eating McRibs.
And we'll have to wait till March for Shamrock Shakes.
Ooh, that's right. That's the other thing they do. Now I have to ask you, Frank, as what is this position of the Seventh-day Adventist on the McRib?
Well, I would assume it's pork.
Yeah.
And I don't
That's what we all
I don't
guess.
eat it.
Yeah, you don't eat it, so it's probably
Being a
best that we
beef
don't eat it.
person, but I probably should give up beef eating too.
Yeah, well, the no eating the pork, but it's questionable if it really is pork. The real question, Rebecca, is why is it that it's only available once a year?
Because it can create this fervor and make people think that this otherwise fairly mediocre food product is worth standing in line for because it's only once a year.
You
It
think
is
it's
considered
purely promotional?
Yes,
I think it's a health
It is
risk.
orchestrated scarcity. That's what you call it.
Supply and demand. That's what you're
Yeah,
telling
Well,
me.
let's actually have a laboratory analyze a McRib and find out what's actually in it.
We can
No,
do that. We can
that'll
send it to a test.
destroy their
that'll
sales.
destroy it.
They'll go through the floor.
Bob, can we hire you to
Part of the
determine
love is in the
do the
mystery.
analysis on that?
It's all part of the mystery.
It is. Well,
Yeah,
it really is. You don't want to know what's in it. I have a theory of what's really in it.
Well, according to Wikipedia,
Uh-oh.
it contains pork patty, bun, sauce, pickle slices, that's 2 words, and slivered onions. That's what it says.
Slivered onions. There you go.
Can you believe Wikipedia?
No.
Yeah, but no, I've had one. I mean, has anyone? So
Maybe.
you've never
I'm
had
sorry.
one.
I will believe.
Never ate it.
I will believe today, Bob.
So Frank's never had one. Rebecca, have you ever had one?
I'm sure I have at some point in my
Bob,
life.
have you
I
ever-
have.
You have. Ryan,
But
have you ever eaten a McRib? The generic What do you mean? Who has a generic one? He's got to get a mic. Hold on. This is technical and it's difficult. Hold up. Here he goes.
Aldi food stores.
Aldi sells a McRib?
They had at one point.
Wow, I did not know that. I have had one. And I will confess, have one every year, and you're happy. You
Are they
just
any
need to
good?
have one.
Are they any good?
It's cheap food. Like, it's super mega ultra cheap. It feels cheap. It tastes cheap. But it's a unique thing. There's nothing else that quite tastes like it. I will tell you, I had a buddy who was a manager of a McDonald's, and I think this is really smart. McDonald's should do this. You can get those. They would take the frozen McRib patty. This is a lot of conversation about the McRib.
Sure is.
They should pay us lots of money. The McRib, you get this frozen piece, and what they would do is they would cut it into sections, the little faux boned sections.
Yeah.
Then they would fry those. And then they would dip them like McRib nuggets. Isn't that genius? Into the sauce. Then you dip them into the McRib sauce.
Otherwise known as barbecue.
Well,
Yeah, but it's like it's its own custom
Barbecue.
drug laced.
Well, before McDonald's started getting hammered by Kentucky Fried Chicken and had to go to the breast McNugget type stuff.
Right.
What was actually an old McNugget? it was not recognizable.
No,
by
it's like spam type stuff. It's like
is the McRib like that, though?
Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. My theory is the reason why it's only available once a year is because it's the collection of the splatter from the whole year, and then they scoop that up and they form it into these patties. And so that's, that. And
I guess McDonald's won't be advertising on their channel soon.
No, I don't suspect they will, but that's okay.
I'm over here having an existential moment. Like, why am I here?
What's really sad?
What did I do in life so that I have to entertain this conjured mental picture?
Yes. How did you get to this point? Now, the McRib sandwich was, I think, first introduced like in the early 80s. Or at least that's when
81.
81. So 1981. Well, the next decade in 1990, that's me, man. That's like I was a high school dude in the 90s. Like I show my age there,
So you
right?
were just a kid in 81.
I was just a kid in 81. So as far as I know, we've always had McRibs.
Well, do you remember? Are you old enough to remember when the McFish sandwich came out in the 70s? That was a tremendous hit.
Was that a big deal? They still sell those.
And then Burger King tried to keep up with it, but theirs was horrendous. But the original fish sandwiches at McDonald's were wonderful sandwiches, and they were about twice the size they are now.
Yeah.
That's inflation for you.
That is inflation. Well, speaking of terrible things that will kill you, in the 90s, there was a band called Stone Temple Pilots. The lead singer of the Stone Temple Pilots passed away today. He was 48 years old. He died, and that's sad. It's very sad. He in and out of drug abuse, I know. All that. He died at the age of 48. His name was Scott Weiland. And for a kid of the 90s, a guy who listened to the grunge rock of the 90s, Stone Temple Pilots were a big deal. So we're going to listen to a song as we go to break, and then we're going to come back and talk about some serious stuff. This is a song called Plush. This is Scott Weiland. He passed away, and unfortunately, I don't think he knew the Lord. So
time's a ways to go.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios.
And I feel it. And I feel it. Where you going to tomorrow?
Good afternoon. It is 3:21 on a Friday afternoon. That was Scott Weiland, lead singer of Stone Temple Pilots. That's a Stone Temple Pilots song called Plush. It was probably their biggest hit in the mid-'90s, a band that I listened to quite a lot. And that gentleman passed away today at the age of 48.
Being that you're a grunge person,
yes.
Pop quiz, how many original members of Alice in Chains is left?
You mean alive?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just asking.
To my knowledge, they're all still around and kicking, but I don't know.
I thought Mike Starr was kicked it.
See, I don't know.
And the lead singer, so that's at least 2.
Alice in Chains, man. See, it's all this. It's weird. It's weird though, because like, has this stuff become classic rock yet?
Pretty much.
Is it? Yeah, that's really funny. You think about how long ago that was, though. I mean, time goes by, I guess.
Well, when KGGO starts playing it, apparently it's classic rock.
Do they play like Alice in Chains?
Yes, they
Stone
didn't used
Temple
to
Pilots?
do that. Laser was the only ones that played that, and then KGGO started playing it. But then Laser started picking up stuff like Tom Sawyer. You know, the Tom Sawyer song.
Rush. Yeah.
Rush.
Yep.
Which they started kind of stealing each other's format a little.
Well, isn't that crazy? We don't have to worry about that sort of stuff here. Hey, you know what, Rebecca, before I forget to do this, I've got it in the show notes. We want to mention that Students for Life here at the Drake University here in town, they have an event this Saturday. It's free. It's open to the public. One of our broadcasters here on 99.3 is the keynote speaker. That's Steve Dace. Steve Dace will be speaking at Drake University at their Students for Life event.
Hey, I know that guy.
You know that guy?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
sure do. And he can talk.
Yes.
You
Yes,
will get your money's worth. Being as it's free, you're certainly going to get you'll get double your money's worth.
Now, this is tell me a little bit about this event. So he's going to talk, but what else is going to happen?
Well, and it's a good opportunity, I think, for people to ask questions. Like we were talking about a little bit yesterday, if people heard that show, Personhood Iowa is supplying this. I mean, it's the Students for Life over at Drake, and they are, I believe they're just kind of getting up and going. I'm not sure how long that group has been active on campus, but it's certainly something that we need to encourage our students, especially in a collegiate campus atmosphere. It is very hard to stand for your faith, to stand for life in that type of environment. So we want to do everything we can to support that and to support them in that effort. So this is a good opportunity if you want to support life, or if I would imagine that there will be people from clearly the other side of the life versus death debate here. And they are not going to be shy about their questions, or that's never been my experience anyway.
Right.
So there could be some really interesting debate. But one of the things that I know that Steve does, he takes the approach, we need to make it real. And that's part of the entire approach of Personhood Iowa. We make it real. This is about real people and real people's lives. And every person's story is impacted by moments like this and by how we think about life, how we treat life. Living people in the womb impacts every single person on this earth. We all have a stake in this debate. So Steve is very good about personalizing it, and I have an idea that's where he's going to go with his presentation tomorrow. But he's also very good about projecting a winning strategy. If we truly believe this, that we are human beings and every human deserves protection and equal dignity in the eyes of the law, because that's the way we are created in that very image of God. We all deserve that protection. Then we definitely should be able to put forth a strategy that will allow us to turn that ideology into reality in the state of Iowa as well as across the country. So I imagine you're going to get into some winning strategy with Steve tomorrow at Drake.
Awesome. And the event is tomorrow from 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And it is at Drake University. Let me see if it's got the room. Yes. Meredith Hall, room 101.
So right in the middle of campus.
Right in the middle of campus. So if you go to Facebook and you enter in your search the event, there's an event page. Start typing Drake University Students for Life. And you should find it. Drake University Students for Life presents Steve Dace. You'll see his lovely mug there. And you can say you're going to go, because they'd love to know if you're going to go, and check that out. But speaking about young people, I saw this. I have to give the Des Moines Register some kudos here, not for what they report
today.
on. Yeah, probably last time. No, I'm kidding. But I actually think this is really cool, a smart strategy for them, right? So I live in Urbandale, and they send these out now, these free editions to the neighborhoods. They're Urban Johnston Grimes free edition. Do you get one of these, Bob? Where are you in? You're in West Des Moines. Do they get one of these?
Does it have the grocery ads in it too?
It does. It has grocery ads in it and stuff.
But
and
it's a localized edition for the different suburbs, right?
It is. It's a localized edition for the different suburbs, and I like it. They just send it to us for free, and it's cool. I think it's neat. But one of the things I noticed in here is, you think about college students, what they're thinking. And I remember doing this when I was in elementary school, who are you going to vote for, that kind of stuff, and they kind of ask you little questions. But here they talked to some young voters. Des Moines area high schools and middle school students tend to be favoring, at least the Democratic ones, tend to be favoring Bernie Sanders.
Imagine that.
The young people are feeling the burn, as it were. Which is, Hillary Clinton is doing the worst.
I'm sorry, that headline needs a wah-wah soundtrack.
What? The young voters feel the burn.
Wah, wah.
And then, of course, on the GOP side, sort of the conservative or Republican students, they're just split like the rest of us are. But it's interesting, though. Why do you think, Frank, the young people like Bernie Sanders? You've got an answer. I know you do.
Free.
Because
it's free.
Because they have heads full of mush. Basically,
so you've just wait a minute.
See,
so
I'm going to tell you something.
Condemned all the middle school and high school students that they have brains filled with mush.
Let me give you a fact.
Okay,
young people, particularly women, start off liberal, but as they get married, as they have children, they tend to start leaning conservative. Now, not in all cases, but generally speaking, the older you get, the more conservative you get. So it naturally fits into my theory that young people all start out liberal because they want to rebel against God, they want to rebel against their parents, and the law is antithetical to their desire to kick up their heels, so to speak. So naturally, they want to be liberal. But as you start getting married and as you start having children and know the pitfalls that Satan has for your children, you generally are going to get more conservative.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Bob?
That's a pretty long answer. I just say free college, free health care, free.
I mean, it sounds good, right? I mean, if I'm 16, I'm now going to be going into the workforce. Maybe I'm going to get a job at, I don't know, a lot of young people get jobs at like Fairway or something like that, or McDonald's. We talked about McDonald's. And they think I can go do that and I can get $15 an hour because Bernie Sanders is president. I like that. Now, they don't realize that Bernie Sanders is lying to them, and Bernie Sanders isn't going to make the minimum wage $15 an hour.
How are they going to pay for it?
Well, but it's a bunch of rhetoric. It's to be honest with you, they can say that. That's not going to he's not going to go be right. Am I wrong? Is he going to go be president and boom, pull a switch and now everybody gets paid? It's not that simple.
Well, he can't unless we immediately convert into a fascist economy where the government has control over how much industries pay for things like that, which is not outside of the realm of possibility, I suppose, but it's certainly not going to happen because of the result of one presidential election.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of factors that play there, but the truth is it just sounds good in a campaign speech. And when you've got someone that's promising you free college and, an exorbitant minimum wage, and that you can make what you think you should make because you are a unique snowflake, and that it's the government's job to make all that happen because, nobody else is doing it, so the government's going to step in. This is, it's all stuff we've heard before. There's nothing new under the sun here.
Right.
This is what leaders have promised, a chicken in every pot. It's bread and circuses the whole way around. He doesn't have to deliver on his promises. No. And I think we've seen that from the current occupant of the White House because he has done... To be fair, he's done some of what he said he would do, but neglected to mention, strategically so, I would say, a lot of the consequences that go along with that. But if you are hooked by an emotional response that says government has to help take care of me, then I don't think that you're thinking too far down the road about what some of those consequences are until you experience them. And that's one of the worst things about the epic failures of things like Obamacare, because people suffer under that and their rates have gone up. They don't get the kind of care that they need for their families. And it's because they bought a promise and they elected people based on that promise that sounded really good at the time. No consequence was really established, or no thought was given to that consequence until people had to suffer it. Unfortunately, I think that that's where we are as a society. We're so reactionary that we're just willing to try anything that we think might be a change. And we don't give thought to whether or not it's going to make sense, whether or not it's going to make our lives better, because we're just not in that place. We're not long-term thinkers anymore.
Rebecca Maxwell is my guest. I'm Chris Roloff. Frank is here. Bob Montserrat. Ryan's producing. Whole cast of characters are here at 99.3 FM. This is Mac's World Live. We're all filling in. I'm filling in for Mac, and rest of us are normally around anyway. What do you think? Why do you think these young people are so attracted to Bernie Sanders? What is it about Bernie Sanders that attracts, middle school age, high school age students? A lot of college students are excited about Bernie Sanders. Why is that? Give me your opinion. 515-244-0077. 515-244-0077. I want to hear your opinion on this as well. But Frank, what do you say?
Let me ask Rebecca, how far do you think we are from fascism right now? When government took control of GM Motors and Obama basically tried to dictate to the CEO what he made.
Well, and that's basically if we're discussing things like minimum wage, which have been in the works for longer than I've been alive, basically now we're just dictating what the government's terms of control are and what the public sector, or what the private sector, what the business sector's terms of surrender should be.
Sure.
So I am kind of radical in my idea that a free market really should just be that. It should be a free market, and we should be able to determine that value independent of what a government official or a bureaucracy has to say.
Let me ask you a question, and this is an honest question, but okay, so I'm a business owner, though. I see a benefit in having a minimum wage of some kind, right?
Sure.
Because as a business owner, I don't want to be thinking about my country's economic system so that I can think of what is a fair and reasonable wage for someone. Okay. In other words, if I just go off and say, well, if I look at my bottom line, I can pay this guy $1.50 an hour, and that would fit me. Would this guy work for $1.50 an hour?
Would they work for $1.50 an hour? Probably not long.
They probably wouldn't. And then but what helps the minimum wage is something that I think makes business owning an operation convenient anyway, and then it helps sort of normalize what people would get paid. Business owners have a lot of things to think about, and it makes some of those things a little bit easier. Is there a pragmatism to just having some set standard so that folks are paying a fair wage to most people?
Quickly, I'm old enough to remember minimum wage at $1.60 an hour. What do you remember that, Bob?
I worked for $1.60 an hour when I was in college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked for, I think, $5.15 an hour was a minimum wage job. My first radio job was $5.15 an hour. And I was so excited when I got my initial 20-cent raise. I went from $5.15 to $5.35 an hour, and I saw that on my check, and I thought, you know what, that's awesome, because that means that my boss thinks that I'm doing a good job and I deserve a raise, even if it's 20 cents. Then I found out that it only got increased because it was a federal minimum wage increase. And all of my idealism just went crashing down. It had nothing to do with my value. But this is part of where I think my vision of how markets and business and paying and value and all of that should work. It should be about the worth of the job that you're doing. And we should inspire people to do better and to excel, not to work at a minimum and think, well, we have to just raise the minimum artificially, not based on anything real.
Right.
We should inspire people to do a better job so that they are worth more and that they contribute more value. That's a big part of what makes working worthwhile.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen. This is the Truth Network, 99.3 FM. Thanks for listening. That voice you heard was Rebecca Maxwell. We'll be back with more when we get back. Maybe Tim will call.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
Good afternoon. It is 3:38 on a Friday afternoon, and we are so glad that you're with us. Man, we're having fun. We're having a good time. I tell you what, my name is Chris Roloff. I'm filling in for J. Michael McCoy. He's the normal host of this radio broadcast every day from 3 to 5 in the afternoon. This is live. This is local. Right here in Des Moines. We broadcast high atop the Merle Hay Mall. We love doing this. I mean, we love spending time with you. You tune in, you listen, you have chat. We've been having a good time. It's Friday. It's 150% more fun. I don't know. It was somebody I know used to say Fridays are 10% more fun or 15%. Was that, what did he say?
That was when Maddie was here.
That was Max saying about Maddie.
Was it 10%, 15%? We don't even have Maddie and it's more fun. I don't even know. So I do miss that guy. But anyway, so we're having a good time. And I tell you what, I want to know, there was a new place, speaking of food, which I like talking about food. There's a new Caribou / Einstein's Bagel place over in West Des Moines that opened up. Did you guys hear about this? Combo shop.
It's coffee. Of course I heard about this.
Yes, right. It's Caribou coffee and Einstein Bagel together. And Einstein Bagels are really good.
Why? Why are they better? I mean, is it an Einstein formulation?
Yes, he created them. That was his greatest achievement.
MC Bagels.
E = MC Bagel. I don't know.
No,
That's
they're
probably
the Einstein brothers. I don't think they're any
They're
relation.
not even related. Yeah.
Be my guess.
Okay.
I don't know. They've got coffee. That's all I needed to know.
The funny bit was that they gave away I think to 50 people, or the first 50 people or something, like got free coffee and bagels for a year or something crazy like that.
Like once a month or something?
Yeah, like you could get coffee and bagels for free for once a month. So they had a line this morning. That's just clever. I will say, though, it was not as exciting a line as the one for the Chick-fil-A when that opened over there in West Des Moines. That was pretty intense.
You need to get people to dress up in costume.
That's the thing.
That makes things 150% more fun. Just tell everyone to make their own costumes.
I should. For the record, I am not wearing a costume, although I wish I was. That would be more fun. What kind of costume should I wear, Ryan? What would you imagine? What would be the ideal costume for Chris Roloff to wear? What would be the funniest thing I could wear?
A microphone?
Dress up as a microphone?
Yeah.
Can we mention that photo that appeared on Facebook a couple of months ago?
Right. See, here's the funny thing. Mac posted that picture as though like that's what I looked like in the 90s. We were talking about the 90s before. That was a Halloween photograph.
Like Boy George?
So you know, that was me dressing as
Explain that to Rebecca. Explain that, because I don't think she's quite seeing the image.
Rebecca, I don't know if it can be explained. It's just something that has to be seen.
It involved a hat and lipstick.
Oh, my goodness.
It was.
I know what costume you should wear.
What's that?
You wear it on the 18th. Chewbacca.
Yes, yes. Is that's December 18th?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is so soon. I would try to do a Chewbacca impression, but I couldn't. I wonder if our quick caller guest could. Speaking of things to do with your life, this Saturday, Rebecca, you were talking about it before. Tim Overland is on the phone. He is the Grand Poobah of Personhood, Iowa. What's up, Tim? How you doing, man?
Good. I'm not sure if I should be wearing a Chewbacca costume, but
you would make it. You're taller than I am, aren't you?
I think I am. Yep.
So maybe I could be R2D2 and you can be Chewbacca. That would be funny. I'm wider than you are, so that would work. I'm wider. So, hey, Tim, so tell me, we were talking about this a little bit. Tell me have you gotten any feedback so far from the campus about the Student for Life event? Have you gotten any pushback yet?
Nothing that I've heard of. There's, and the director of Students for Life, Cassie, has not passed anything on to me. So she's excited and praying, and so we're really looking forward to the event.
Okay.
But nothing negative that I've heard of.
Well, that's too bad. Well, you guys are hoping for a little bit of good Q&A, something that's other than just...
They'll be stealthy. If you've been to some of these events lately, you'll, not our events, but just events in general, that sometimes are a little more stealthy. But I think we've got the right guy behind the microphone for a good, healthy back and forth Q&A.
Yeah, well, no, definitely. I believe Steve Dace can handle himself. So, again, that's the Drake University Student for Life event. It's tomorrow from 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. It is at the... what is the name? I'm looking at
Meredith
it here.
Meredith Hall.
Right. Meredith Hall, room 101. So for those who know Drake, and I don't, Rebecca, you said that's kind of the middle of the campus.
Right. Meredith Hall. It's that big black building right in the middle of campus. So you kind of see it. There's a little parking lot area.
Gotcha.
And it stands out.
It stands out.
You should
Good.
be able to find it.
Good. Well, I am not the brightest tool in the shed. So, well, hey, Tim, what do you think the big thing you want to see out of this event? What would make you happy?
Well, I would like to see, as I said, and I haven't been able to listen to know what you guys have talked about. So I'm sure Rebecca has covered personhood,
hey, Tim,
Iowa thoroughly. Yeah.
Tim, we mostly talked about the McRib sandwich.
Oh, okay. Well,
so anything you want to say?
That sounds like an old show we used to have on the air.
That's right. That's right.
It was a lot of coffee and ice cream and stuff. But,
yes.
So what I would like, it's a brand new group. It took them a little bit, as you might imagine, if you're familiar with the environment at Drake. It took them a little bit to get approved to be a group, and so that took some time. And the young lady that is courageously leading this is a senior this year, and so she's nervous because her second semester she's going to be student teaching, so she won't be around a whole lot. But she's trying to hand off a good, healthy organization, and they've got a bunch of people on that have signed up that receive their alerts and those type of things. A few people that are showing up to the meetings, and I've reassured her that that's kind of the common thing. But I'd really like to see some folks come out, and if they don't know what personhood is, come out and learn about that. Steve gives a tremendous testimony about his family, and then also how we think personhood is the way to win, and which ultimately should be our goal, not just hold rallies and meetings, but to win. And I would just like to see a good turnout, and I've also assured Cassie that that's relative. The people that are there are the ones that are supposed to be there. But I'd like to see some folks come out and learn about personhood and learn, get some of these young kids engaged, because I think these upcoming generations are going to be the ones that they're going to take this thing home for us, because it's just so plain with the science and with all the stuff that's out there.
Absolutely. Now, Tim, one of the things unique to personhood, and I don't know if you guys are going to address this as much, maybe Steve will, but one of the things that gets me excited about Personhood Iowa is not just your clear, simple position. I think it seems like the pro-life position that you guys have is simple, easy to understand.
All life should be protected, always.
Always. I think I agree with that.
Straightforward.
I can agree with that. I can get on board with that. But the other thing that really impresses me, Tim, about your organization is that you guys know that the battle is going to be won inside the church. In other words, that what's happened, I think, in our country is that we as a church have just said, don't get an abortion, don't get an abortion, don't get an abortion. And then when that girl inside our four walls gets pregnant, maybe our story changes because now the reality of it comes home and we really don't have the knowledge, integrity, and strength to know how to work through the difficulty of that situation. So is that right? You guys at Personhood are taking this to the church, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked about, we don't know what or you're not sure what Steve's going to talk about. Well, join the club. Anybody who knows Steve Dace, he is off script. It's off the cuff, but it's always good. There's general themes, but I'm sure it will be addressed. There's no doubt. We think that until the question can be answered in the right way, and that question is, if a young lady in your church were to find herself pregnant, would she be more likely to walk into your church and seek assistance, or would she be more likely to go down to Planned Parenthood or somewhere else? And we know the statistics. We know the answer to that question. We have to change the answer to that question. And if a girl from our own church won't come in looking for help, what makes us think anybody from outside of our walls or outside in our neighborhoods are going to come into our church? Because if the Christian girl finds us judgmental or whatever the stereotype is, what do you think non-Christians are going to think? So
right.
Yeah, we have a total paradigm that needs to be switched, no question.
Tim Overland is on the phone. Rebecca Maxwell is here in studio. I'm Chris Roloff. Frank's here. Bob's here. Ryan's producing. Look, if you want to know more about Personhood Iowa, it's real simple. You go online to personhoodiowa.com. That's personhoodiowa.com. If you've got Facebook, I think most of us do, just in that little search window up there, type Personhood. It's one word. And you will find Personhood Iowa. Find out what those guys are going on. And, pray for these young people at Drake, the Students for Life people. Pray for them that they would develop a strong group there on the Drake campus. We're going to be back with more. Hey, Tim, thanks for calling in. When we get back, we're going to talk about something on 99.3.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on Webcast1Live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast.
Good afternoon. 10 minutes before the top of the hour. 4 o'clock is the time that it will be right here in Central Iowa in Des Moines. My name is Chris Roloff. I am filling in for J. Michael McCoy, who is the regular host of this broadcast. The program is called Max World Live. Just moments ago, we were talking with Tim Overland, who is the Grand Poobah of Personhood Iowa. I say that because really, I don't know. What is his title? Executive Director?
He's Executive Director.
Yeah, that's what I would have guessed had I tried to be serious. He's a good guy. Personhood Iowa, check them out. Again, the Steve Deace event this Saturday from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. Presented by Students for Life at the Drake University. Anyway, we've got a regular cast of characters. Bob Motzret's here. Frank the Verse Thomas is here. It's much easier to say Thomas, by the way, than your actual real name. Rebecca Maxwell is here. Ryan is producing, and I'm with you as well. Next hour, we will. Rebecca, we spent 2 hours yesterday telling people that we were going to ask you 12 questions, and we have people on Facebook chanting, we need to know the questions. We need to know the answers. We have people. I had a guy come in off the street up here. Why didn't she get to answer the questions?
I really hope that it's worth all this build-up.
It will not be. I guarantee you. You guys will be let down. These are not that fantastic.
Now there are 12, right? 12 questions?
There are 12 questions.
There's no way you can possibly do it in an hour.
Oh, but see, that's the thing. They're actually pretty simple. Here's what I want to do, Ryan. I don't know if you've got that gospel presentation video loaded up. Look, we've got a few more minutes, and I want you to listen to this with me. This is going to be about a 5-minute long clip that I want you to listen to, and I want you to guess who the person speaking is. And when we get done, we'll all take guesses of who it is. There's not going to be a video screen. You're not going to be able to see him, and you won't be able to know who he is. You're just going to listen to this person give a gospel presentation. I think this is one of the best gospel presentations I've heard in a long time. Now, understand, this isn't a come to Jesus gospel presentation, but I mean a presentation of what the gospel is. Go ahead and take a listen to this.
The best way I've been able to describe it to people that are not believers is God became a man, came down to earth, and died for our sins. He provided the ultimate sacrifice, because up to that point we lived under the law. And the law meant that we had to sacrifice an unblemished lamb to cover our sins, not erase them. God was the ultimate sacrifice. It was his own son. In essence, he was willing to do what he didn't ask Abraham to do, almost asked Abraham to do, but at the last second spared Abraham that pain. God was willing to sacrifice his own son. And just imagine how painful that was. And he became a man. And the reason why he had to become a man was not just the element of becoming a man and dying for our sins as the ultimate paschal lamb, that as a result didn't cover our sins, but completely erased them. But also because he's a God that understands us. He has felt everything we've ever felt. He has wept. He wept in pain because a friend that he loved died. He felt compassion for people. He probably had the flu or the cold. He felt pain in his flesh, not just on his crucifixion, but multiple times throughout his life. He was a human being in every way, and yet he was free of sin. So there is nothing that we're going to be asked to do in our life that he didn't do himself. One thing is to be a distant God that sits on a throne removed from the everyday suffering of man. Another is to be a God-man who actually lived as we lived, who felt all the pain and all the hurt and all the emotions and everything we've ever felt. Jesus had fear, not fear in an unbiblical way, but he knew what was about to happen to him. And he prayed that if it was possible, could this cup pass? How many times have we not made that prayer? And obviously it wasn't facing crucifixion. It could be like, God, if I could get out of this ticket. I just got pulled over. If you can get me out of this ticket, just one time I won't speed again. Well, imagine the fear of knowing that you're about to be scourged, nailed to a cross, hung naked, humiliated, spit upon, rejected by your friends. There is nothing we will ever face that he did not face times infinite amount. And so, to me, that is the personal relationship. It is a personal relationship with a God that knows anything we face because he faced it more than we've ever going to be able to face it. There is no fear, no emotion, no worry, no anxiety, no obstacle, no adversity that he didn't face before we did, and in fact, much more so. And that's how you have a personal faith. And then it has to be infused by the Holy Spirit, because the gift of the Holy Spirit is transformative. You know, Peter was a deeply flawed man, impulsive, angry, given to judgment. God turned his weakness into his strength. Peter saw Jesus walking on water. He dove at him. He lunged at him. because that's how impulsive he was. They came to arrest Jesus in the garden. First thing he did, pulls out the knife and cuts Malchus's ear off. Impulsive. But once he was infused in the Spirit, that impulsiveness was used as a tool and for God's plan. All the gifts that God had given him that at one time were a liability, God turned into a strength. And so that's where the Spirit comes to play in our life. We are all gifted with different things. And they could very well be a weakness today, but God can turn that into a strength. And so it's not just about having a relationship with Jesus, it's about allowing the Spirit to infuse you, to completely control you and guide you. And the end result of all this is what in Catholicism, we have this thing in our liturgy, peace be with you. A lot of people think peace means, like peace, like the hippie peace. Or peace like no one's shooting at each other. That's not, or peace like everything's happy. That's not peace. True peace is it doesn't matter what's happening. The winds could be swirling and Jesus is asleep on the boat, not worried about a thing. That's peace. The peace is in knowing that two things are going to happen anytime you face adversity. One is God is going to shield you from the adversity. He's going to protect you from it. And the other is God's going to make you go through the adversity, but he's going to give you what you need to get through it. And if you honestly believe that, and that's hard to believe, you can't force yourself to believe it. You have to pray for that. That is a gift. That is a fruit of the Spirit. If you honestly believe that, if you truly become to have that, then you have the supernatural peace that can only come from the Spirit. And I know I've gone too long. Now I sound like the preacher, so let me close with this. I apologize, but I rarely get to talk about this at campaign events. The thing about that peace that's so important is, I honestly believe it was a major contributor to the growth of the early church. The early church grew in a pagan world. And despite the fact that everyone knew if you become a Christian, they feed you to lions, Nero set them on fire like torches. Terrible suffering. And yet people kept joining. And I am convinced, this is not necessarily deeply biblical, but I am convinced, and you may disagree with me, I am convinced that one of the things that got so many pagans to become Christians is they looked at the Christians and said, what is up with these people? They're being fed to lions and they're singing for joy. They're being led to their death and they're happy. There's something wrong with these people. I need to find out what's going on with them. Why is it that they have so much peace? Because we keep praying to our gods and we never have peace. What is it about these people? And when that peace is true in you, people want to know about you. They're curious. What is it about you? What is it about that? What does that person have? Because I want some of that. And that's how you bring so many people to the faith. It really is.
Well, you heard it. I think that was an absolutely fantastic gospel presentation. And the guy speaking, everybody in the room guessed it as soon as he started talking. That was Marco Rubio, running for president of the United States. Yep. And I was really impressed. I don't know what you think about his policies. I don't know what you think about whatever. But that guy gets it on that issue to me. Right? He gets who Jesus is. He gets what it means to be a Christian. He gets what it means to have a Spirit-filled life. I mean, I was just really impressed with that. We got about 30 seconds.
Well, that's a really great foundation, and everyone who's thinking about running for president has to be right on this.
Yeah.
Now I think the question is, how does he apply that worldview in the realm of politics?
Absolutely great question. We're going to talk about that next hour. Salem Radio Network News is coming up next right here on 99.3 FM.